is sort of a casual move to calling the meeting to order, but we're almost ready. David, do you have polls? I have a second. I can go ahead. So Sarah here. Set you up. Yes, yes.
I have two sweaters in the jacket.
And just go one more time.
Okay. Welcome everyone officially to our board meeting for January. We're the board of Animal Care Centers of New York. This is a public board meeting. We meet as a board in public, and we're really happy to see so many members of the community here to hear from us, to let us know what you're thinking, your concerns, and also for your overall support for our efforts working to end homelessness for the animals of New York City. Just for any of you who are new to our meetings, we're a board of 13 people. 10 of us are complete volunteers. We're in fact signing conflict of interest statements here. We aren't compensated for our work. We work hard on behalf of animal care centers. We provide governance and oversight to this great organization. We also, not only do we not receive money for this service, we also raise and give a lot of money to the organization. That's one of the key things that we do. And we invite all of you to join us in financially supporting ACC if you can, and also volunteer, adopt, foster, anything you can do is a huge help, and also reaching out to your elected city officials and letting them know how important ACC is to New York City and to ask them to support us. So we receive an awful lot of support in addition to the very strong funding we receive from the health department with our contract with the city of New York. So that's an important part. So thank you in advance for anything you can do to help us. We are conducting board business today, so you're kind of watching us do that. It's a board meeting, and there is a moment at the end where we invite and encourage public comments. There's a sign-up sheet going around, and just a reminder that we're conducting a very civil meeting, and everyone is going to behave with decency and respect to each other. And if anything sort of throws us astray, we'll end the public comment session, but we hope that won't happen, and we count on you to act civilly. I think that's kind of all I needed to mention as an overview. Welcome everyone on the board. It's really great to see everyone, and I think today we're going to get a really great overview on where we are in terms of the calendar year that's just ended. Of course, we work in a fiscal year also in line with the city, so our year starts at the end of June in terms of financially, but we'll hear where we are financially, how we're doing with our very strong live release rate, the incredible community programs, and we'll also hear from Christine from the mayor's office on the status of all the capital projects and improvements and expansions that we're undertaking. So lots to get through and hear, very exciting morning. But we do need to do a few very sort of boring board business here, and the first one is approving our minutes from the last meeting. So if I could have a motion for approving our minutes, which are in our folders. And a second? All in favor? Okay, so the minutes are approved. This being the first meeting of the year, we also need to re-elect, in this case, since all of the officers of the board are willing and wanting to serve again. So our slate of officers, the chair, I'm the chair, and Denise is our vice chair, the secretary is Jay, and the treasurer David. And so as a group, we'd like a motion to re-elect that slate of officers. And a second? All in favor? Congratulations, everyone. Another year. We also have a number of committees that meet throughout the year working on board business. And the executive committee, which I chair, has Denise and Jonathan, Karen, Elaine, and Corinne on it. And our nominating committee will consist of Denise as the chair. I will be on it, along with Jay, Corinne, Neil, and Sarah. I should mention too, we talked about, I mentioned we're a board of 13. We have 10 appointed directors and 3 ex officio representatives. We have representatives from the Parks Department, Police, and Health. And we need 2 members of the city ex officio directors on our nominating committee. So Sarah and Corinne will allow us to be in accordance with our bylaws there, just as an FYI. The audit committee is David, Jonathan, and Elaine. The development committee, Linda, Dennis, myself, Karen, and David. Marketing, which sometimes moves to strategy, depending on the agenda. Denise, Sarah, Karen, Corinne, Jay, and Elaine. Our contract negotiation, which thankfully we won't have to do, I think, for another 34 years, is myself, Jonathan, Corinne, and Neil. And the Queen's Capital Project, we have a committee with myself on it, and David and Jonathan. And I think that's all our committees. And we'll now hear from Joe from BTQ on our financials. And you'll guide us through the materials we have in our folder. Welcome, Joe. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Good morning. Please let me know if you're having trouble hearing me. You need to speak louder or try to use the microphone to get more successful using. In your package, you have a financial report, which is the financial results for the first 5 months of ACC's fiscal year. And in those first 5 months, ACC has recognized revenues of $8.3 million, which is roughly about $800,000 behind budget. And the reason for that is because there's primarily a timing issue. And it's really in 2 areas. One area has to do with additional funding.
I'm sorry. I see did you say $800,000 variance to budget or 3?
For revenue, yes.
Okay, great. I'm sorry.
Just for revenue.
Misheard.
Sorry. The reason for the timing variance is because DOH was wonderful enough in fiscal 20 to provide an additional $3.1 million. I'm sorry. Was able to provide an additional $3.0 million of additional funding for ACC. Starting mid-year last year, the process for collecting those funds had changed, and we had gone from a situation where ACC was receiving monies in advance each month to now an expense reimbursement process, where monies are spent, and then we submit vouchers, and then the expenses are reimbursed. That process is a complex process, and it involves a lot of moving pieces and a lot of people involved. And because of the way that the one-time enhancement was set up, the actual budget was not approved until the end of November. So that meant that for 5 months we were incurring expenses, we weren't able to submit the vouchers. The funds are there. It's just the timing issue of when we're able to submit those vouchers. So that's really the biggest piece of why we're behind on the budget in terms of revenue.
So where do we stand now on the submission of August to December?
We are catching up.
Still behind?
We are still behind, but we are catching up, and we plan to be caught up within the next 3 or 4 months.
how far behind are we?
We're about $1 million behind.
Like, how many months does that represent?
That's the 4 or 5 months
So
that.
it's still.
We are still catching up.
We're only through July.
Part of the thing that we're learning within this process is that we can't submit prior months in the current voucher. And so we tried to do that and it got kicked back. And so we're still working through the process, making
You have
sure.
to submit each month individually? Is
Yes.
that what you're saying? So August has to be
Yes.
complete submission.
Right.
Before September can start, even if it's
Right,
complete.
and what we were trying to do is in December, we were trying to catch up and say, here's July through November. And they said, that doesn't work quite in the system, so.
Is there a
we're-
big stumbling block that's preventing us from going
No,
forward? or it's just the normal
we've
course?
discussed this with DOH and the people, and we're working through how that works within the process and adjusting things so that everything will be able to be submitted correctly and then processed.
So is there
And
anything
one
we
thing
can
I can say,
prevent this-
sorry.
Anything we can do to prevent this from happening in the upcoming year?
The one thing about the system that we discovered is that we have two operating budgets. One was the original DOH contract, and the second was this one-time enhancement. And one thing that we discovered is that you cannot upload both budgets for approval at the same time. And so we were uploading vouchers for the DOH contract, and because we were doing that, there was a delay in being able to upload the budget, have it approved, and then submit vouchers. So we will have to talk about that starting in July, about how we can modify that. Again, one of the things is this is a one-time enhancement, so, you know. if we
I mean, my
get that,
feeling,
if
sorry
we're
to-
fortunate enough to get it, then.
This is sort of that,
Good question.
this is sort of that good problem to have.
Yes.
That when we met in June, we were anxiously hoping, working hard and anticipating this extra funding, and it wasn't available at the start of the budgeting process, but it did become available. And it's incremental funding, which we deeply, deeply appreciate and need. However, I think the way this process works in government, it's gonna be cumbersome, but
Is there a deadline, or
Yeah.
is there a deadline or point of if not submitted by this date, we lose? Or will we always have the
No,
funding?
we will,
It's just
it's just a timing issue, we will always.
You're not gonna lose it if you don't submit by midnight of.
No.
great.
Other variance on the revenue side was just the timing of some grants. We had anticipating getting the grants at the beginning of the fiscal year. Those grants were actually received, the grant awards were provided in December, but we're going to see that, we'll incur some expenses, we're going to make sure that we supply those expenses to the grant.
Very good.
On the expense side, which is on page 3, you see the detail, actually on page 4, you see the detail of the various expense line categories and the variances to budget. Personal services is about $200,000 higher than budget. Salaries and wages were higher due to increases in admissions, field operations, and community and outreach programs. Overtime is about $200,000 higher than budget at the care centers, field and medical operations due to the seasonality of the intake and timing, as July through October are traditionally ACC's busiest months in terms of intake. Partially offsetting the increase is lower freight rates, so once again, Lisa and her team have done a great job in being able to negotiate healthcare benefits, because we all know that those benefits are increasing at a tremendous rate, and the ACC has been able to hold those increases to relatively low rates. So that's a good thing. Just an aside, you'll see later in the graph that personal expense reflects 72% of all the expenses for the organization. So ACC is very dependent on its staff. There's really, personnel heavy in terms of the operations. The next closest expense is medical supplies and equipment, and that is only 5% of the total budget. So you can see just how much of the expenses are related to staff.
Question.
Yes.
Just curious, it looks like our outside ed services were significantly higher.
Yes.
I'm curious what's that.
I think we understood that from the budget, actually.
Part of it is that we under budgeted for the expenses, and so we're going to make an adjustment for that. But also, compared to
What was
last year, it's a little bit higher. and part of that is just the season, you know, there's more things going on first half of this year than there were last year. And I'll get to that when we talk about the comparison to prior year.
And supply side, you said there was a big order in the prayer.
Part of the reason why you see such a big positive variance for medical supplies is that there was a significant amount of items purchased at the tail end of fiscal 19, and that meant that we were not in such a rush to have to buy things in the first instance.
Which could have led to a shift in the budget to an area where we didn't see.
Right. Right. It's a, you know, going forward in terms of looking at the budget, we want to maybe look at that seasonality a little bit, and that things match up a little bit better. Yes. Other OTPS, I'm sorry, any other questions?
Yeah,
Sure.
just because it's so helpful to have everything relative to L last year.
Yes.
Development, how is that in dollars and percent to total relative to L5?
Development is on target. There's just, again, a little bit of a timing issue. As we mentioned, that there was a number of grants that we had anticipated earlier in the year, and they came in December. So those two grants totaled $1.5 million.
I was asking relative to last year.
And so,
Plus with the gallon change, there's a lot of
And-
timing shift.
right.
Where the gallons.
and that's actually, the funds that are coming in are relatively on par with last year.
So development is flat to last year.
So far, in terms of the activities that happened to date, it's
Assuming timing corrects itself in time.
right. So so for example, the
I
gallon,
just want to add something, that last year's budget goal for development in 2018 was 4 million, and we made the goal for 2019 4.25 fiscal 20 and fiscal 19. And it wasn't as aggressive a goal because we had turnover in the development department, and we didn't have a new team really in place until May, June, and July. So where we are in terms of the 4.25 is where we're halfway there, at the halfway mark of our fiscal year. So we've raised $2.8 million. Clearly, the additional
6% increase in development,
Yeah.
is what we budgeted. We think we're gonna hit it, do you think?
I think we'll come pretty close. We do. We have a couple of events still in the, between now and the end of the fiscal year. We have fall spring fling. We're waiting to hear on some grant funding from some big foundations. Yes.
turning to page 7, down. Any
Like
other
at some
questions?
point, we should just talk about, should we be more aspirational, and then of course we have to put together what we need to do when we get there, and the increases, yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
Insurance,
Yes.
it looks like it's $100,000 increase over fiscal year 19. What would account for that?
Most of our insurance is actually auto related.
Yes,
It has to do with
so there's
collision.
some additional vehicles that we purchased last year, so that's gonna increase the auto insurance. And then we saw some bumps ups in general liability and property insurance.
All have to do with the fleet transportation.
So it's been another good year of expense management, so congratulations. Thanks.
I always say what we have.
Well, some spend more than they have, but it gets into different problems.
I'm trying not to do that.
So I just with the insurance, so how many more vehicles account, I mean, it's $100,000 difference, so it's,
It's,
that many vehicles purchased.
There's about, I would say about a third of that is vehicles, and then the rest of it is increases in general liability, property coverage, and also dwelling coverage. So all the other coverages that the organization has.
So with that being said, property
Yeah.
coverage will even continue to expand as this property.
It'll expand exponentially
Absolutely, absolutely.
because of the new facilities that are going to be coming up.
So, some of the new vehicles that we got, or we have one additional mobile adoption vehicle. We got 2 transport vans, now that we're doing all the vehicle transport within the state of New York. And we got 1 additional community pet vehicle and our community outreach vehicle. And most of that it was all in the grant funded or with the additional money from city council.
So great.
Any other questions on the actual budget, financial results? On page 7 is the balance sheet. And what you'll see there is a comparison of the November balances compared to preliminary balances for the fiscal 19 year end.
And is AOR mostly our voucher and delay issue, or
Yes.
more so than that?
The $4.5 million is 90% of that is vouchers that were submitted for DOH, and most of that came in July and August.
It's timing, not a
So it's
voucher.
just timing now, correct. A new category which we just saw last year, at the end of the year, which is now going to increase exponentially, is construction in progress, and that is the expenditures that are currently being made in the new police facility. On the liability side, the largest liability that you'll see is an advance that was received from the Department of Health, $3.7 million. And so in July, DOH advanced the first quarter's worth of payments for the DOH contract. And what's going to happen now in the second half of the year, they will be recouping that. So as we're submitting vouchers for payment each month, a portion of that will be taken back to recover the advance that was
Correct, as the cash comes in.
Right. The total net assets are at $1.5 million. The breakout is net assets with no restrictions, which is basically the net value of the organization over time, is about $700,000. And then there's net assets with donor restrictions, which means grants that are given for a specific purpose or for a specific time. And that is $755,000 of grants, where we just have not met the grant requirements yet to release those funds. So as expenses are being incurred, those funds will be released.
And when's the $1 million line of credit? Is there anything
The
coming?
$1 million line of credit will be due in March, and we've been working on our cash flow projection, and based on what we will be receiving in the next couple of months, particularly with the catch-up, we will be able to pay that down. And then with the line of credit, there's a 30-day period where you're not allowed to draw on it, and then we will renew that line of credit and then use it again if needed.
Take 31.
Any questions on the balance sheet?
So what is the
Yes.
city's total revenues they guaranteed to succeed?
This year, it's almost $18 million. Excluding the $75 million that they're contributing to build the new facilities.
And not counting the additional $3 million.
That does.
That does
Oh, that's-
include the $3 million.
Yeah,
Other questions?
but I'm on page 8, are you? done
Okay,
yet?
well, we're about to get to page 8.
Okay.
Turning to page 8.
Yeah.
Questions? Hey, Marianne. Was there a question about the future?
Oh, yeah. I'm just wondering how the donations that we were just talking about, where Mason said it was $4 million, the expectation. Where does it come up on page 8? And then,
It's under the contributions line?
but that only totals $600,000.
Right. That's within contributions and events, so that's approximately $1 million.
Yep.
And again, a good part of the contributions we're talking about are grants where we just haven't released those funds yet. And so, for example, in December, you'll see a tremendous amount of funds being released because we have received the money, so we haven't incurred the expenses.
So as of
that-
November 30th, it was
Right.
$900,000.
It was 900,000. But in December alone, we'll probably recognize another 600,000.
Doesn't include the restriction that hasn't been done.
Right, so I'm just trying, so for the contributions, it was individual contributions, and are we 25% down to
The
that line?
contributions is a mix of
A lot of that
individual
gallery.
contributions. It's basically corporate foundation, individual contributions, and release of restricted grants.
Okay, so Lisa, in your point, trying to stay up here, and I know because of the shifting of dollars, it's hard to get insight. If you look at page 8, it looks like we're down.
Yeah.
Is that where you think we'll land, or do you think this is not representative?
So our director of fulfillment is here, so Jen, correct me if I'm, what we're seeing is sort of different shifts, and some things are down, some things are up. I think we're relative to last year, we're kind of flat, we're at the same place. We do have some expectations for some very large grants that we'll get in. We applied for a lot of grants this year, some we didn't get, but some were a surprise. You're gonna hear about one that we got for $90,000 that we're using for a very specific in-year program. But I feel like we're at the same place.
And how about individual donations? Where are they?
Individuals,
We were, we had a goal of 8, we had a goal of 870, and we were almost about halfway through the level.
Got it. So you feel good about that too? It's hard to, yeah, gauge where we are relative to LY.
Right, because it's a project.
Well, it's hard too, because we're looking at financials to the end of November, so it's good we're having this conversation to clarify.
I mean, you've got a mix of timing issues that are important in time, and you've got a number of issues that won't be fairly sure, that we should, and you've got things that will happen.
Which is fine. I'm just trying to understand that,
It's
this, so,
a-
this, what I
agree.
would call
I
the so
agree.
what of what's
My
going on.
suggestion too for our next meeting, my suggestion for our next meeting is that we just have a development report, that we don't have to sort of dive into where we are in development while Joe's trying to explain our balance sheets, which
Sorry.
makes it
No,
hard.
that's okay, I
So,
mean,
yeah, no,
this
it's,
is all part of the financial presentation.
yeah, no,
The
this
point
is,
is
but
well
it's
taken.
good for us to, clearly, we would appreciate that kind of breakout.
And I will be happy to break out Michelle's
Yeah.
delineation between all the
Yeah,
different,
I think Jen and Lisa,
development categories and.
just next time we should have Jen give us a presentation, alongside.
this is in your
Okay, so
Yeah.
I couldn't figure it out from this, but I don't want to derail us anymore.
Well, for last
Here's
year,
a
we can look at
single-
numbers
Yeah,
for last year.
there's another page that breaks out the
I read
development.
it.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, it doesn't quite answer our question, so we'll talk about what we're
Doesn't answer why.
wanting to see at these meetings,
I read it.
which is great. I mean, this is good,
And just as an aside.
especially because we're on track with a very aggressive, I think it's aggressive because it's a 6% increase at a time when overall, it's very hard for nonprofits to be fundraising. So that we're on track and we have an aggressive budget with an increase, I think we're off to a good start and we're getting some really great creative grants and you're doing a great job.
Some changes in the tax code that did it.
Exactly, exactly. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. The only other things I wanted to point out is the increase in personnel services. That is primarily driven by the one-time enhancement funds that ACC received in fiscal 19 from the city council, where a lot of that money, more than half of that money, was basically to add staff. And because we received additional funding this year, we were able to keep those staff on board. And so what we're seeing is the fact that people were hired at the end of the second half of fiscal 19 and are on at this point in time. Hopefully we'll continue to get some.
And then when you look at personnel generally, I think you have to go down and bring in outside that services and continue as well. Because
Right.
there's such a balance to that as a combined pool. And that really makes it show a lot more about needs and where they're headed and such.
And even with OTPS, exactly to that point, is the reason you're seeing spending much higher is because last year we waited until the very end of the year because we were a little nervous about the fact that we were, just the timing when we were getting money and things like that. But cash flow is a very important critical component of the things that we're looking at. So every week I meet with Teresa and I say, you have this much funds available, we're expecting this much, so we can spend this much. And that's a weekly conversation. There are times when we just say, there's not a whole lot in the next, 2 or 3 weeks until the vouchers, payments of the vouchers start coming in. So that, in some ways, also when you're on an expense reimbursement type of scenario, and those expenses are covered, cover 87% of the organization's total expenses, it becomes quite a challenge to manage that cash flow and try to spend ahead, knowing that it takes some time to get that money back, and that's where the line of credit comes in. But even at that, we have $1 million line of credit, we're spending $1.6 million a month. It's a balancing act every month, and it's something that, you know,
But it's
we're
not an
good at, but it's still a little
It's not
bit nerve
specific
wracking.
to you, this is an issue that every organization faces.
Right. So again, you know, we're incurring the expenses sooner than we had in last year because we know there's something going. It's just a matter of now vouching for those expenses. Any questions on the financial report?
Thank you.
You're welcome. I just have one other thing to add, and that is that the status of the audit. Audit is still ongoing. We're close to completing it. The auditors think that they'll be able to have a draft in the next summer. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Lisa, you're up.
Okay, so just a little shout out to our next event, OLD. That is part of our development strategy to reach a broad audience of supporters. This is one of the lowest price point fundraisers that we have. It has two purposes: raising some money and building awareness not only of ACC, but of our thoroughbreds, Marjorie dogs, we breed dogs, just like that, to Lucky Strike. And people see that they're great pets. And so we're trying to change perception and push out the thoroughbred brand and raise some money. And it's also one of the
Favorite events?
yeah, so we're really excited to put
It's
that.
a lot of
We took
fun.
a pause for her.
Yes.
Believe it or not, it's a lot of work to put together. I can't take credit for all that work. This is Jen and her team are really, it takes a lot to get to pull together. So even though it's a low price point, it's still a big investment of time. Okay, so before we get started, I just want to call out a particular day in the life of ACC. We spend so much time at board meetings and in our promotional material talking about placement rates, dogs and cats, and adoptions. But there's a big intake number, and then we always have this other. It's about, this year it's about 4,000 other. So what is other? So other is what happened yesterday where we got a call from City Hall that there was a trailer accident on the Verrazano Bridge. Many of you may have heard about it. There was a trailer of livestock. It was a serious accident. We take 5 staff out of their regular day. It was our field team and our medical team went to where the trailer was. The police came. There are a lot of city agencies involved, but we also have a part in that. That's 5 people. This is livestock. That's not our specialty, but we were called because we have vets and we have people who can handle animals. So what you see there are, in the trailer, there were 2 sheep, a calf, and there were 4 animals actually that we were tending to. It takes a lot of work. And so relative to the number of intake of the 24,000 that are coming in, the other takes so much time and money and capacity to care. Like there's so many people who are moved out of their daily routine. I'm not saying that that's not what we part of our job, but I think that that gets lost when we report our data of other. And so I just wanted to show that to you. It happened yesterday.
Excuse me, do we take them in or do we just
Well,
carry
They're
them?
heading to a sanctuary, right?
Generally, the idea is obviously we don't have housing for that size animal or for livestock generally. So we work with partners. Our new home placement team has sanctuaries that are partners. So these animals went to Skyline.
There were 106 different wildlife organizations that placed pets
Right. So this was a farm, a sanctuary type scheme. What was good here is that he came to the scene of the accident with a trailer. That's a big problem for us. These animals are not going to fit in our vehicles. And so to move them takes a lot of time to figure out. And actually that's sort of, we learn from every situation. What we've learned here is we need to convene a meeting with all the different agencies. Maybe we need our own trailer sitting somewhere where we can hook it up to one of our vehicles if that's going to be our responsibility. they went right to the fund, which is great. Sometimes, somehow, somebody transports them or will take something that will fit. I have been at the shelter when there's been a deer that's sort of in one of our vehicles, but it's really, it's much better if we can do it right there, right at the scene.
So
And this was, so
we
these animals.
facilitated like the service, like the veterinary services to the animals and then where they were gonna go. That was our goal with this grant.
Yeah, so stabilized and looked at. And again, there's another need in the city. There was a little bit of time delay because the city was looking for a, I don't know, what's the right term, what's the right term for a vet, like large?
A large animal veterinarian. So our veterinarians only really treat companion animals, dog, cats, rabbits. And while we learn this in school, it's not something that we regularly see. So there are people who dedicate their lives specifically to that field. So in the perfect world, we would be able to assemble someone to meet us there who just does that for a living. But you know, Dr. Ferguson was great and she was a good sport and she probably refreshed memory a little bit on the way there, but she did a good job.
So where were they going to begin with?
Slaughterhouse.
Yes.
And I mean, the saddest thing, and we were all talking about it, that the irony is that those animals that weren't injured, the truck took off. This is what was left behind. And they were saved. So the ones that were injured were the ones that were saved. And that's really a hard thing for us to even talk about. It's very sad. But that's our team. And it, you know, they just jumped in. And again, I really just want to emphasize that we will talk more about this, but this just happened yesterday. Like the day just shifted, everything shifted, and so we had to like deal with this. And what you thought you were going to do yesterday just changed a little bit. But it's a great effort. It's a lot of resources, and the staff are amazing, and really amazing to really be part of this. And I think it's a wonderful feeling. So I wanted to share that with you. So I like to feature a thoroughbred every time we have a board meeting. That is Dean, who was adopted by one of our rabbit volunteers years ago. Also happens to work with farm sanctuaries. Okay, city contract. So Dennis, you had asked what are we getting? So this lays out over the 34-year contract. Actually, this is 32 years because we're 2 years into it. So the total for fiscal 20 is 17.9 million. That includes the 3 additional million that we got. When I reported back in June at the end of fiscal 19, talking about fiscal 20, we really we hadn't secured that extra 3 million yet. And so that's why you see a little blip in green. It's also what DOH is calling a one-time enhancement. There is no, we have no indication or we're not planning for another 3 million for fiscal 21. That's why you see a dip in fiscal 21. There's no green box. That's a challenge. That's something that I started to talk about with DOH, and Patrick and I had some conversations. You know, obviously we can do more with more money. The purple on top of it is where we are at our fundraising fiscal year to date. And I think it's a great idea that we will do a presentation in June on development on the strategy and the different areas of giving and where we see some trends and where we should focus more, maybe focus less. And we have a great development team under Jen's. She's so organized and it's a great team. They really think about new things. So I'm excited about what we can do in development. Notwithstanding all the other barriers that we have that a lot of most not-for-profits.
So it's so interesting to see the percentage of pets coming into the program care that are originating from the Queens issue. It's a much larger percentage of what they
Well, the way it's set up is that Queens is closer to Brooklyn and the Bronx is closer to Manhattan.
Correct.
So in the current situation, the resource centers, that's how at the end of the day or throughout the day, they're triaged and that's how they get moved to the different shelters. And then of course the shading just represents the additional funding for operations once we get Queens, and then the top, the darker shading is once the Bronx is fully operational. The anticipation is the Bronx would be 2024, so you start to see the increase for the Bronx begin in fiscal '23, and the reason for that is we need to start to onboard people, train them, you know, see what we need in the existing shelters, and really start to create and implement our business plan before we open the doors. So in the funding, the city has given us that opportunity to think about it for a year and build out a plan for the two shelters. And the Queens expectation is 2022, so that's why you see in 2022, you see an increase for Queens. The expectation is like later in the year of 22, summer of 22. So we might actually need to have a conversation with DOH 21. That's you.
I'm sorry, I had one version.
That's okay.
So it's not $40 million a year.
Right, exactly. That's the thing that people hear how big the budget is, but if you divide it by each year, you see that this year the contract was $14.9 million. We were super grateful to get the additional 3, but it wasn't in the budget. So every year is a struggle. We're super grateful for the money that we get. We use every nickel, like you said, Denise. You know, we can't spend it unless we have it. So we always are finding our
You can't plan too far, you can't plan too far.
right. Of course, a big goal in fundraising is unrestricted money, so we can have this big endowment sitting there. You know, we're starting to build out legacy giving. We actually have one person, I'll talk about outreach later, but a person who saw us at an outreach event and then put us in her will. So there's such opportunity there, but we really have to build on it. Okay, so next slide. Okay, so let's talk about that intake. This is in the bar charts, what you'll see, this is dogs and cats, and on top are rabbits and guinea pigs. So you can see we have certainly been busy, but what this looks like is intake is flat. It's not a big difference from 2018 compared to we're looking at the calendar year now. Not a big change in the number that came in, and so we really have to look deeper. Like, what is it? Why are we stuck? Are we stuck? Is this what services are we offering? So if we go to the next slide, we dug into the data a little bit more. I'm going to focus on 2018 and 2019. Where you see the dark shaded on the bottom, those are the strays. A few less strays, 400 less, and about 10,000 cats, 4,000 dogs. When I look at that, if that's going to stay flat, let's just say that number is going to stay flat. That intake number is going to stay somewhere around 25,000, let's say that number just stays flat, 13,000. What our goal would be, we would rather have more surrenders than strays because we know nothing about these stray animals, nothing. And that is a super large challenge to place an animal that you know nothing about. With a surrender, what we would see is like a bigger story from somebody who may have even used our resources for surrender prevention and then came back. And that's okay, because really what we're trying to be is this resource to the community. We're trying to solve homelessness, animal homelessness, which really animal homelessness falls into the stray bucket. When you add on the surrender prevention services that we're doing, you see that we had 3,000 conversations. We interacted with 3,000 people who have pets. Without that program, we might be at 25,000. We might be seeing a climb because you do see a bit of, you see 500 more preventions this year than last year. The prevention program is super, super important because even if these numbers don't change, if we can push that stray number down even more, we could be a better organization in terms of placement decisions.
And the large stray cat number, you break almost half that out
Of 10,000 cats?
Thirty, 40
Yeah, maybe a quarter.
are, there's
It would be
kittens.
close to half are kittens. Right, so there's a big challenge.
How do we know, Lisa, that
I was just trying to understand the numbers, how we get to 25, so 13.
You add 3,000
you said
to the
3,000
intake
to the previous
numbers.
chart?
To this number.
So,
Compare the two charts next to each other.
Oh, I see, so the 3,000 are, animals that did not come in.
No, they're part of the 20,
right,
But
because
we
But we
our intake
provide
number,
Just go like this.
interventions.
our intake number
Yeah.
for 2019 was 22,410 animals. But to understand, like, that seems flat, that intake is flat from last year. But when you layer on how many surrender preventions did we do,
Yep.
the potential was we could have seen
Right, so the 3,000 did
25,000.
not
Yeah.
come in, those
Did
are
not,
people you
those
spoke
are-
to and did not.
yes.
So my question
We
was.
provide a certain kind of service, but they didn't actually come into the shelter.
No, it's great.
It's a
Right.
great
Yeah, sure.
intervention.
How do we
Yeah.
know that the surrender preventions are effective? What are our KPIs or how do we make that assessment?
Well, if they come back in, we would, there, you
Yeah,
know,
no,
here's
it's
the biggest issue that we see is housing. Moving, landlord doesn't want it, I'm gonna get evicted to keep this animal. The second largest thing are the costs of medical. And so we have grants from the ACC, from Best Friends, we have lots of grants. All right, we can't solve your housing issue, but maybe we can provide some advocacy for you. And then maybe they come back and say, I tried.
So of the 3,000 names, if we don't hear from them again, we assume it's effective. And if they come back
They come
and
back.
they bring an animal, then we would deduct that from the 3,000.
It's so
Could
funny,
be.
we were talking
We
about
looked
that
into it
yesterday.
yesterday, I think we are looking into that, because that's
Okay.
a really good data point, so, yes.
So right now, it's just the 3,000 that come in, whether it ends up being effective or not.
Yeah,
And that the next level would be, how do we measure the
right,
effectiveness?
so maybe it was actually
Surrender on that.
2,500 to 500 came back.
That's not.
Yeah,
What
Okay, so
happened,
there's opportunity there.
yeah.
what happened between 2016 and 2017? Because that's really the only material difference.
Yeah, that's a big difference. So there are two things that happened there, and I had, because every time we prepare for these slides, we always, all of us say like, what happened? How are we so great? What had two things happened was, that was the beginning of the surrender prevention pilot through the ASPCA. It was also, 2016 was the year of cat influenza, where we stopped intake of cats altogether for
Well, but,
3 months.
but that's stayed static then for the next 2 years though, so that wouldn't be the influenza that explains it.
Because that's a one-time thing.
Right. The only real difference on this chart is that the stray population drops
Yeah.
between 2016 and 2017 and stays down.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to know why. If that's because of surrender prevention, or because something else.
Are there new policies that are going on? Next raise?
It would be
If we
interesting.
measure the 18,000 as to where the stray, the source, or a pattern of the source, and see if any of that source has changed.
So,
Now we're not getting a new
Yeah.
here or there.
Or maybe TNR is
so
Maybe that's the source.
So what this data shows is we need to really, aside from things that already exist in the stray world, we have to think harder for more solutions. The last 6 months ago, I said TNR is not doing enough TNR in the city. Look at how many stray cats we have, 10,000. It's pretty much the same from last year, the stray population. And the breakup is basically the same in 2018. More spay neuter, is there enough spay neuter clinics out there, low cost spay neuter? We have to really, the way there was a pilot for surrender, we really have to examine stray. What can we do better? By being a resource to the community, what we're hoping is that people will see ACC as a resource, as a place that they could come to and start to, instead, I'm not really sure, I'm not saying that, I don't know why they're stray, but maybe we can license more animals, microchip more animals, so that if they are stray, we could actually see, it's not stray, this dog is lost. or this owner, what, something happened here and the owner lost sight of his pet, we can try and understand that better. But these are all good suggestions.
So two questions to this. So the total number of intake, the 25, 595, and 25, is that really intake, or are you not counting those numbers in there as intake?
I'm not counting the 3,000 as intake. The
But there-
page before is the true intake number that we report.
Right, okay, and this like.
I'm saying that there was the potential for the
Right.
intake to be
It could have been
25,000
that.
animals
Right, got it.
without surrender prevention.
Got it, I understand.
That's, at least that's how we view the
So-
surrender prevention.
And could you
Decrease, we put it in.
Could you also mention what you're doing with the police department to try to, get word out on this?
Yes, so very recently, the inspector Corey, but he and Alex Silver, who's our community outreach manager, in touch with the neighborhood coordination officers unit to work with them and other parts of NYPD so that NYPD can also see us as a resource, and they're so involved in the community that for them to know us and everything that we do is super important. So if we had a situation where someone came into a precinct and said, I lost my pet, so if they knew what all of our strategies are when someone loses a pet, they're gonna help us do a better job, they're gonna help the person find their pet. There's so many things that we can provide in terms of information and support for the officers. Alex, on Monday, right after that meeting, within 24 hours, we were all set up to go to a meeting to talk to a group of neighborhood coordination officers. Do you want to just mention a little bit of some of the things that came up?
Oh, sure. It was a great opportunity. We were speaking with about 74 officers. 74 officers who were new to the neighborhood coordination position, not necessarily NYPD, and we were part of their general training. And so we had all this time to go over who we are, what we do. We chose to call out some specific information related to lost and found. That might be most relevant, as well as what to do when bringing in a stray animal. Because the more information that police officers are able to collect, they're the ones who are taking the animal in and relate to us, the more we'll know. And as we're still saying, it's hard if you don't know more information. So I think it's going to be a really great partnership. And we look forward to the resource fair on Monday. We're going this Monday. We're enrolled in the opportunity to see many more officers.
We can't thank you enough. You opened that door and just like a world of invitations come to this training, come to this resource fair. So I feel like the awareness of what we do is going to just increase tremendously. It's a great partnership.
Yeah, and it's also they're the community problem solvers for the police department, and you have resources to bring to bear, so to help them
All the
solve.
surrender prevention resources we were talking about,
Right.
just knowing that that's out there. So yes, the resource flyer that we're able to pass on to the officers and really share with members of the community, so people know that they have resources at ACC.
It just strikes me though that going back to the data issue, we're getting to the point where maybe at the point where we have enough data that we've collected over the years to start to analyze what the changes are attributable to, what the trends are, and where we should be putting our resources. And I don't know, I mean, it's particularly important as we tackle the last 10%, right, the hard 10%, that we have our hands around the data. I don't know if we have an analytics person in-house, but it may be something to consider.
Yeah, we have a lot of people who are always
It's you.
who are looking at data, Katie in particular, and we have somebody else who's a person who really mines our data. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing, we have to look when data is seeing it leveling off, and we have to go deeper and understand data. Yes, we do a lot of data.
You know, garbage in, garbage out, you have to capture the data before it's moving. It's the whole thing with the analyze.
Okay, so clearly, what we're trying to take on the opposite side is placement, what we're doing in terms of all these animals coming in, how we get them out. Placement's a huge part of what we do. We recently had some organizational changes and some just promotions adoptions, and instead of talking about placement, I want to introduce our newly promoted Director of Placement, Jessica Caro. Many of you may know her from adoptions or the rescue community. She's been with ACC for 8 years. 8 years. She was formerly a New Hope partner and then came to ACC. She's great. She runs a great team. Really thrilled to see growth within the organization and bring knowledge, all the knowledge that she's learned about ACC and about our community over the years. And so Jessica is now our Director of Placement, and I'm going to let her talk about her department. And in addition to placement, she's added foster and some community work too to her plate. So it's a big role.
So ACC's placement department is composed of adoptions, global adoptions, foster care, as well as our New Hope programs. And one of our goals over the years has been to increase our placement rate and to increase the amount of direct adoptions that we're doing. So as you can see from 2016 to 2019, we've increased direct adoptions each year. This year doing over 8,000 adoptions, and 43% of our placement rate is direct adoptions. So I wanted to highlight,
Sorry, just one other question. There's the 100% over year 18 and 19. Would it be 8,000 total placements for 19?
so for public adoptions, it's 8,464. And then the placement rate,
18.
I'm sorry,
I'm just trying to compare 18 and 19. Sorry. What's the
Cool.
total amount of placements, just so I know what I'm taking a percent
I
of?
don't have the exact number.
7,376.
So 7,300 for 18 and how much for 19?
2019 was 8,460.
Okay, so that's even a more powerful message, is that the total number's going up and the percentage is.
So we wanted to highlight some of the expansions to existing programs as well as some of the innovative programs we launched in 2019 that helped drive the adoption number specifically up. So we started doing mobile adoptions in 2014 with one truck. And what we quickly realized is that the demand for offsite adoptions exceeded the capacity we had with only one truck. And over the years, we've grown out the program. In 2019, we got our third mobile adoption truck. And so we're able to go deeper into the community to provide adoptions. And the landscape of New York City changes every 5 blocks or so. So you can go to the other side of Manhattan and they might not be familiar with us or our services. So by bringing our truck and adoptions to the community, we're introducing ourselves to people that might not be familiar with us, or people where it's challenging for them to go across town or to a different borough to adopt. And we call them adoption events, and they are. One of our primary goals is adoption. But really, they're community events. We're partnering with local businesses, firehouses, police precincts, pillars of the community to bring not only adoptions to them, but we're doing outreach, we're doing surrender prevention at these events. And we're overall letting the communities know about the different resources we have so that should they need us in the future, whether it's for adoption or surrender, they have a contact, they know who the shelter is to come to them.
Plus, we're doing community outreach tabling events in addition to just local adoptions in a lot of
Exactly.
areas as well.
Exactly. And in addition to expanding mobile, we've also expanded off-site adoptions in general. Thanks to a generous partnership with Best Friends, we were able to start off-site adoption events in 2019. And in these cases, during periods of time where we had a really high cat population, we moved dozens and dozens and dozens of cats to off-site pop-up events for the weekend to bring adoptions into different communities. Within the first night of these events, we had adopted between 70 to 75% of the cats we had brought with us. The next day, we were able to funnel over even more cats from the shelter. And each of these events ended with us adopting about 90 to 95% of all of the cats we had brought with us. So we're looking to expand this for 2020, doing more of these events, especially during periods of population where we have a lot of cats in the building. And this not only helps increase the adoption rate for the cats, it also helps the shelter maintain their capacity for care for the animals that are in there.
Where are those pop-up?
They're usually downtown Manhattan, around Canal Street.
So they're still in the city? We don't ever go outside of the city to do it?
So we're looking at expanding to some of the outer boroughs. We do mobile events occasionally outside of the city. We go into southern Westchester sometimes, but we found that we're most successful in New York City, and there's so many communities in the city that just have a need for the services that we're offering, that we want to make sure that we're providing it to New York City before we start expanding out of it.
It's really exciting.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
How does the public know?
That was gonna be my next.
So a lot of it is through social media. Best Friends helps us a lot with the promotion, as well as Katie, who's fantastic at promoting just about anything. So it's getting the word out.
Is it all on our website?
It's on my website, it's on social media, word of mouth too. A lot of people who had come in, especially to the last one on Canal Street, heard about it from a friend of a friend. And we were really fortunate with the last location to be in the heart of Canal, so we just also had foot traffic. People who didn't know about the event, but were thinking about getting a cat, coming back the next day.
And we also have flyers that Alex gives to all of city council.
We had a line around the block.
It's on Instagram too.
Do you ever go to the Upper East Side?
We go to the Upper East Side with our mobile truck. We haven't done a pop-up there yet.
Microchip all the animals that are adopted.
Yes, we do. And the microchip is registered to them at the exact time of adoption, so the adopters don't have to go and pay the registration fee.
And it gets done.
Exactly. Because, I adopted a dog from ACC years ago before we did that, and I won't lie, I definitely waited a few weeks before doing it. Now it's instant. So as soon as they walk out the building or the mobile truck with their animal, the chip is registered to them.
And for new home placements, right?
New placement also.
And then this goes back to the footprint. Do you guys look at any of the strays and other animals that come in and empty? What percentage of those have been microchipped by you?
Yeah. And we follow up with every animal that comes in with a microchip. I know there have definitely been some instances out in the field where they found a stray dog, be able to trace the chip, if it's lost, bring it right back to the owner. And then if they come into the shelter, we'll call them and hopefully be able to do the relocation.
I transported a dog last week that came into the shelter that had been adopted from a place out in Long Island. Adopted the dog for 7 years and then surrendered it and traced it back to the school. And they said, please, we're sorry they didn't bring it back to us directly, but we'll take it.
But one of the things about looking at microchips is what we see, and to Jessica's point about registering that microchip at the moment of the adoption, we get a lot of microchips that have no information, that have not been registered, or the information is not updated. So we're looking at that.
When we microchip them, are we microchipping just to the owner, or is there some connection that is our dog to start?
So we're always listed as the implant facility, so should the animal show up at any other shelter, it'll trace back to that person as the owner, but then as an implant facility. So for us, like with David's point, that chip probably traced to an owner, but the implant facility was one of our new partners. So when that owner brought the animal into ACC, we were able to see that that animal originated from a partner and be able to reunite the partner with their animal. So we've also created some innovative foster programs that have helped to drive this adoption rate up. And we touched upon some of them at a prior board meeting, the borough breaks and the staycations. And at that time, we talked about what a welcome break it was for the animals to leave the shelter both mentally and physically. But what we've seen now that these programs have continued to develop is that it's also helping to increase the adoption rate. Because one of the challenges with fostering for many organizations is that they want a long-term commitment when you're coming on board and fostering. So by giving people the option to do a short-term foster, we're increasing the pool of people that are coming to ACC. Several of our borough breakers or staycationers have adopted the pets or they've found adopters through their network. And for those that haven't, these animals are coming back to us with more information. So if they were a stray that comes in, we're learning a little bit about how they might have been in a home environment. Or if they're going on a day borough break on a gorgeous hike, we're getting photos, we're getting videos, and if somebody is looking at our website or our app, they're seeing a dog with a gorgeous mountain in the background, they're seeing an animal cuddling in somebody's bed, and they're able to make that transition and thinking like, this is going to be a pet who's coming into my home. And what we've seen is that with these animals that have gone out through foster, once they come back, we're able to more quickly facilitate adoptions for them or new home placements. We had a 100-pound dog that went on a borough break, came back with fantastic notes. It was almost like a bidding war between 2 or 3 different new home partners who all wanted the dog when he came back in.
And not just our social media, those people I'm seeing their social media saying, I have this pretty car, and so you're getting the outreach of them spread door as well on their social media.
I love the program. We've tried to sign up so many times, and it's so popular.
Why
The dog
because everybody
But
else.
I'm wondering, I guess, are we like, maybe because we're trying to go for Manhattan shelter, and there's only so many rooms available, but I think we've tried like 10 times, and each time it feels like you have to go out a month in order to
Yeah,
do it.
we're booking into March right now.
And what are the criteria? Is it that not all the animals are able to go on the rural break? And so it's just a very, demand versus supply?
I mean, it needs to be a dog.
How many dogs is a percentage of all the animals in Manhattan will be able to go?
There's a couple things. I mean, one is that we have to feel like that dog can go out with someone that maybe has never a lot of experience with
Yeah.
a
You
dog.
don't even
Also
know
into an
You don't
environment.
even know who it is. So you're
Right.
saying they would not be available for a rural
So
break?
they really have to, it has to be a particular dog. It can't be every dog.
Yeah. But
So,
what percentage of the dogs? I'm just
well,
curious.
that's why it's so high.
Okay.
because
So
a
is it
low
less than
percent.
20%?
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Okay.
And then the other
That's the
thing,
aha there.
and we limit it also because we don't want the dogs to be gone during adoption hours. So we don't want every dog that is a great, easily adopted dog. So that's why we kind of limited it to 5. Plus it's pretty staff intensive, and we kind of did what we always do. Once something works, we just never stop doing it, and we just make it work. But it takes a lot of time to get someone up to speed who's never had a foster before, going out with a dog.
Got it.
Yeah.
But if it's less than 20% of the animals, then I understand why
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can't get them. Got it.
Well, we think it
March.
was maybe beyond the next.
March. I wish I knew what I was
We
doing
do
in
it
March.
we have less foster staff who work in the shelter. So another program that came out of foster this year is a pilot program that we did in the middle of kitten season called our Tiny Tiger program. And this program focuses on underage, unsocialized kittens that are coming into the shelter. Historically, these kittens were always placed with small foster-based rescue organizations. And for anybody who's ever had an unsocialized kitten, it's a time-intensive process to do the socialization. So once our newborn partners had taken these kittens, they were unable to take the kittens that were coming in daily until those kittens were socialized and ready for adoption. So we created a team of fosters outside of our foster pool, outside of our new home fosters, that just specialized in tiny tigers, and they went through a tiny tiger training program with our staff at ACC in conjunction with the Feral Cat Initiative, and we set forth with about 100 kittens in this pilot, and they followed them from intake to foster care to adoption. Very few of them came back into the shelter system. They were adopted through foster, or they came to events like our pop-up events and were adopted there once they were done being socialized. And this program was a success for us, so it's something that we're looking at expanding further in 2020. And it also helped us with general placement of kittens beyond the tiny tigers, because our new home partners weren't tied up with these kittens that took longer to socialize. They were able to turn over kittens that were faster in and out of their own foster care programs. So speaking of New Hope, we have roughly 320 New Hope partners. And these are everything from really large organizations such as Best Friends and the ASPCA to smaller organizations that are heavily specialized. So they might focus on certain ages, senior pets or neonate kittens. They might focus on medical conditions, ringworm, animals with broken limbs. They might focus on behavior rehabilitation for large dogs, or certain species of animals, like you saw with the farm animals we had coming in earlier today, and some that focus on certain breeds of dogs. We had approved 29 new Hope partners for 2019, and we also changed the approval process to become a New Hope partner. We streamlined it. It became an online submission form. And what we saw from this is that it's increased the amount of people that have contacted us wanting to become a partner, and it's also increased the speed at which we can get them through the system. In the past, before we had the online system, one of the holdups in approving new partners is that they would often have incomplete paperwork, and we would go back and forth quite a bit with them to get everything we needed. Now with the form, they're unable to submit it without everything being completed. It tells them what they're missing in the moment as they're doing it. So by the time we have their application, everything is ready to go. And so long as their references are getting back to us, we're completing new applications in 2 weeks or less. We've actually already approved an additional 4 for 2020, and we have another 5 that are in the docket to be approved by the end of this month.
And I think the one thing you don't see on the pie chart when you look at the detail is the number of groups that pulled in the last 12 months and just how diverse and how, less reliance on a handful, and there's tremendous progress has been made in that
I think it's something that's gonna continue to grow and develop as we go through.
Is there still oversight of the new book partners?
Yes. So with the approval process, new groups get approved, they're on a probation period, and every group has an onboarding process with a member of our team where we walk them through policies, procedures, what it means to be a new partner. They're audited usually at the end of their probation period. And then we do random audits on partners. Sometimes they're random, just like, okay, we're gonna audit this group today for no reason. Sometimes it's because someone had made a complaint, or they're just, they're taking more dogs than they used to, or they're a cat group who suddenly started asking for dogs. Flags might come up, and that might be something that we choose to look into.
Do they do any reporting of their outcomes back to us and saying, well, we took 40% of the pets and here's what happened, then actually, well,
So we don't have mandated reporting set up yet, but we do ask our partners to get back to us if there are challenges post-placement with the animals, either behaviorally or medically, and they are required to report back to us if they've taken animals unaltered for behavior. We also launched our transport program in 2019 thanks to a generous grant from the ASPCA. We started this in early 2019, and since it launched, we did 1,850 trips for animals, 1,850 animals were transported to approximately 125 new home partners, and our trucks covered over 96,000 miles. And that is through upstate New York and parts of New Jersey. Our field team still provides local transport for partners and their fosters in New York City, and they did 1,875 animals. So combined, ACC has directly transported free transportation to our partners, approximately 3,700 animals. And then Best Friends has continued the Wheels of Hope program that originally existed with the Mayor's Alliance to provide interstate transport longer distances. So we're able to keep our increased capacity with where we're placing animals.
Does that decrease the backlog of transport?
Yes, so the average length of stay for animals that are transported through our transport team for 2019 was a little less than 2 days, once they were placed. Yeah. And they have volunteers, I don't want to forget that, David is our all-star. We have a crew of volunteers who, if something comes up and our transport team can't fit that transport in, we'll call on one of the volunteers. Often they do Long Island, Westchester, just to get the animals out faster as well.
Just getting back to adoptions, right? So you talked about various initiatives that you think are driving the increase in the percentage, which is great. And each one of those initiatives has its own costs, personnel costs, maybe equipment costs, maybe program costs. Do we have a way, maybe you're already doing this, of calculating the cost per adoption for the various initiatives that will be deployed? Because it'd be useful, like a unit cost, all in, it'd be useful to see that again. We have limited resources, we need to know where to put them. So it's another data collection and analysis point that would be useful for us going forward if there's a way to do it.
Yeah, that's definitely something we can look into.
I have a question on the direct adoption information, having just been through the process myself. When you go on Pet Finder and get us or anybody else, there's a lot of information listed on the animals. Sometimes, and ours have a lot less, and I know the ones that are in our facility, it's in some cases hard to say whether they're good dogs or good cats or whatever else it is. But that's a big reason or a big criteria for a lot of people. And I was wondering, for the animals that are in foster, it doesn't always seem to religiously come up either about whether they're good dogs or cats, or if there's any plans to test them or do something so that the public information on adopt.com and petfinder.com can be more, please might give us more traffic.
So I know on our old website, we're looking at changing the formatting of the bios to include more information about the animals for people that are living, and hopefully that will translate. We also want to make sure that we're encouraging people to demand for adoption. So we're trying to highlight the positives for the animals that are out there, because even if somebody sees an animal on AdoptAPet or PetFinder and they come into the shelter, maybe that dog wasn't great with cats in the prior home, or we don't know, and we can't cat test dogs at the shelter. It's not reliable, and it's also just not safe for the cats, and it's a big stressor for them. They'll come in and maybe that animal won't be the right fit for them, but our adoption team is great at making suggestions and recommendations. And we're also working with our fosters to make sure that they're providing the bios, the videos, and the borough breaks have helped with that quite a bit in terms of getting great feedback that we can add to the website.
There's so much exciting stuff there.
Yeah, Yeah, and we're excited to expand these existing programs in 2020 and see what else we can come up with to continue to drive the placement rate as well as the amount of individual adoptions up each year.
Thank you.
Okay, so, thank you, Jessica. There is a lot going on, and as you can see in our committee report, but we have a lot of data points that we're looking at. I want to just mention a few things. Certainly, with all the work that the placement team is doing, our placement rate for 2019 was 93%. We break it down to the bottom, the dogs, cats, rabbits, and guinea pigs. But there are other things that we're doing as well that don't necessarily have to do with the placement, and working with the community is a super important aspect of our work. So if you look at the top, keeping pets in homes, that's one of the measures. I'm thinking about how we measure our success in the animal welfare world is more than a placement rate. And so one of the things that I want to just highlight in terms of our surrender prevention program and being a resource to the community in the Bronx, including our resource centers. If you look at the number, 30,000 pounds of pet food distributed, that is an unbelievable amount of food. I think it's twice as much as last year. But most importantly, tied into that, for Giving Tuesday, we had our campaign specifically target the pet food pantry. And we raised twice as much money this year as we did last year. It brought in $30,000 just for the pet pantry. So we feel that that's definitely appeals to our donor base. I want to. Yeah, right. So we're always reaching out on social media and also through the development team for in-kind donations, towels, yes, or towels, blankets, but supporting the pet food pantry. We want to be able to buy the food. When we get donations of food, it's like different kind, like we really want to manage that program, so that's why we ask for money to buy food for the pet pantry rather than ask for people to donate food. I want to turn now to what we are doing in shelter care. Also a little bit with some restructuring of the organization. We have two other individuals who were recently promoted who are going to talk about animal health and animal welfare and in-care services that we're providing. If you look at the second block where it says in shelter care, most of that is happening with our animal caretakers and the medical department. So the next two speakers are going to capture both in-care and medical. I had mentioned before, we had sought out a grant for, it's called Fear Free, and we got a substantial amount of money to implement the program. So I'm going to ask Jennifer Abrams, who was recently promoted to Director of Animal Welfare, to come up. She's a licensed vet technician. She has a master's degree in animal behavior and conservation from Hunter College. She has spoken at, most recently at a national convention of animal welfare. She's got 11 years of animal training and welfare experience, and she has been with us for 9 years, which is really amazing. And she's had a lot of growth within our organization. And her counterpart is Sebastian Bolanos, who was recently promoted from senior manager to director of animal health. And he is a second generation licensed vet tech, and he has a degree in leadership and management from NYU. And he's been with ACC for 8 years, and he spent his whole life working with animals. So it's really exciting to see growth in the organization. And so I want to call on Jen and Sebastian to walk us through what we're doing inside the shelter for the welfare of our animals.
Yeah, we'll go quickly. Okay. So thank you all for giving us the opportunity to talk about something that we're so excited about as an organization. So we have really been committed to launching a Fear Free initiative with the organization at all our care centers.
Yeah, you might need a microphone. Yeah, use the microphone. Yeah.
It's up to you.
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Microphone?
Yeah.
Yeah, please. All right, so we are so excited to be able to talk about our fear-free initiative that we embraced at the ACC. Before we get into it, I wanted to show you a quick introductory video that gives a nice introduction to what fear-free is. Just full disclosure, the video is geared a little more towards fear-free veterinary practice setting, and that's only because the fear-free shelter program was just launched this past August, so there really is video material that we can use today. But it captures the general theme that we're trying to accomplish, and we'll talk a little bit more about how to use it in shelter.
Say, we're going to the veterinarian, and the dogs literally know where they're going and pull me not back to the car, but out of the parking lot, down the street, and into the door of the clinic.
What we've gotten out of it has been a really big and really positive change that we've been able to see in our patients. They really enjoy coming to the vet a lot more than what we've seen in the past.
To see pets that don't even want to leave the room is something that just makes your heart swell.
Fear-free is about making the veterinary visit positive, in other words, fear-free, for the pet, but also because it's so important for the pet owner and for the veterinarian.
Because in the past, an experience that was extremely stressful, uncomfortable, awkward, and just something that both the pet and the pet parent were dreading is now something that can be positive, fun, comfortable, and just a great experience for both pet and pet owner.
As a certified fear-free professional, and my colleagues that are, we are, again, forward-thinking about each step from the moment you schedule an appointment at home, to the moment you arrive in the lobby, to the moment you're in the exam room, and then check out and leave. We're looking at each of these steps to try and reduce as much fear, anxiety, and stress in the pet and in you.
I was able to witness the stress and fear that my dog, Bruno, would encounter when I took him to the vet. And it's not like they were doing anything wrong. They were just doing what they always did. So now to see these real fundamental changes in the way veterinarians are going to start thinking about how they treat an animal and how they design a practice and the steps that they take that maybe weren't top of mind before, is really going to make it a much more positive experience for me to bring my dog to the vet next time.
Oh, she's so excited. Like, she was going in through every door on Clark Avenue trying to find which one was the vet's office, and then once we finally got here, she was bounding in and very excited. I absolutely would look for another vet that's trained in fear-free techniques. Luna has responded so well to it that it would be awesome if there were other vets similarly trained.
All right, so as you can see, the general mission of fear-free is that we're trying to prevent and alleviate fear, anxiety, and stress of our animals in our shelter. And how we accomplish that is by educating and empowering the staff who care for those animals to employ those techniques that we're taught. Just a general background about fear-free. It was founded by a veterinarian called Dr. Marty Becker, and he has a collaboration from some of the brightest minds in the world, veterinary, board-certified veterinarians in behavior and anesthesia, some collaboration with shelter experts and animal trainers, all the way down to groomers. The success of this private practice setting led them to realize that they could affect more animals outside of just clinical practice, develop a program for shelters that just recently launched in August of 2019. ACC was committed to training all of our staff, so we set a deadline for December 1st, and we actually did achieve 100% training for all of our in-shelter staff as of December. I'm going to turn it over to Jen, who will talk about fear, anxiety, and stress impacts on animals' behavior in the shelter, and over to Tamara.
Yeah, so entering a shelter is just about the most stressful thing that can happen to any animal, really, right? Everything that they were familiar and comfortable with is gone, and we all know how stressed our own pets get when they go to the vet hospital, and see from that video why those new approaches and methods are so effective, right? Because it smells strange and everybody's weird and new. But if you get lots of positive, delicious, wonderful things while you're there, suddenly the experience isn't so bad, and they don't even notice the poking and prodding, really. But in a shelter, we have the additional challenge of the animal person is not there. They're not there to comfort them. Oftentimes when they come in, especially the first few days, right, our shelter animals have made no connection with anybody. They don't have anybody yet that they trust, they rely on. The schedule is all over the place. There's nothing consistent anymore. So the goal of this fear-free movement is to try and reduce that stress and anxiety as much as possible, even in a very scary place like an animal shelter. And no matter how purpose-built, no matter how wonderful the shelter is, it's still a brand new environment. It's still a scary place for these animals. And we want to make sure that not only are we improving their quality of life and helping them to feel as comfortable as possible, we want to make sure that we're seeing who they really are, so that when we rehome them, when we match them up with an adopter, we're setting up the best possible scenario where we are setting expectations appropriately. We're making sure that that dog is showing the same behaviors in the home that they can expect in the home as they were showing in the shelter. And when we do those interactions, that the dogs and cats are comfortable and they're showing off who they are, so that that person wants to adopt them.
Fear and stress, I didn't decide was one of the leading causes of illness.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. The stress on physical stress has a suppressive effect on the immune system. So that's another big target of this program and of what the animal health and welfare section of this program is aiming at this year. Is if we can reduce that stress and anxiety, can we improve immunity enough that these animals stay healthier longer and keeps everybody healthy? And it is a real huge goal of ours. So obviously that stress can cause shutdown behavior. It can cause animals to withdraw from the very people that we're trying to get them to appeal to. So we are taking steps to make sure that we improve quality of life as much as possible, that we are handling the animals and every interaction is as positive as possible. It uses as little restraint, as little coercion, and instead we ask the animals to participate in their own care, and then they have a choice, and that makes a huge difference for them. So Marty Becker himself weighed in on ACC's participation in this program, and he was extremely positive, extremely supportive, and hopes that this will be a blueprint for other large organizations like ours, because I think we are certainly one of the largest to have all staff trained. So 100% of our veterinary staff is fear-free certified in veterinary care. There's a behavior animal training course that you can take as well, that all of our behavior team members who qualified for the course have taken, and 100% of the ACC shelter staff has been trained in using these methods. So we're employing things like food, we're employing lures, we are stopping, we're doing as little sort of forcing an animal to go somewhere as possible. We are really, really trying to make sure that this is as positive and supportive an environment for them as possible while they're with us waiting to go to their next home.
So is the big difference, first, this is super fantastic to hear. I'm just trying to understand the behavior differences before and after of the ACC shelter. So is it food, like leveraging food to entice the animal now versus last year when we've done it? Like what are the key, like top 3 or 4 things that we're doing differently now versus a year ago?
Mechanic space we discovered from the corner.
Yeah. So we've been employing a lot of these things for a while. We know that using food to try and make an experience more positive is more effective than just restraining the animal and then forcing them through whatever it is. So we've been doing a lot of this stuff, but really it's about the community-focused group effort to make sure that we are doing everything we can. So it's lowered voices in the shelter, yelling. we're really aware of when kennel doors might slam or cage doors might slam. What I guess the veterinary team has been practicing this longer than the animal care team, and that is a little bit more of a structured program. So yeah, but we do have music. We've had that for yeah.
So in terms of change relative to last year,
So immediately on intake, animals going to receive behavior pharmacology. So we are going to give them some ability to calm them that initial fear of coming into the shelter. So dogs are going to receive medication for trazodone, and cats are going to receive medication for gabapentin. That's only given on day 1 and day 2. In collaboration with the behavior department, they will tell us if an animal is still looking terrified in its kennel, and then we'll extend it throughout their stay. And you can prescribe it into the transition into the week. That's been extremely successful, and Jen actually did some research to support our findings. We have ran through our spray cheese budget fairly quickly because we go through a ton of spray cheese for dogs just to make it a positive experience. Gone are the days where you force an animal down while you're doing things that are terrifying them, because that's only going to cause them to be scared every time they see the white coat syndrome. If we see that they're getting really nervous, we stop. We try again in a few minutes, but we never try and go in a few seconds. If we see that they're going to freak out, we'll come back and try again. Things like that. Something as silly as a mat on our standing tables. Research shows that cats like traction dogs too, and it's a dark color. So all of our exam tables now are blue mat on the back. It's used to clean, so they have traction, they don't feel like they're just inside of the same goes for our scales. Yeah, so those.
That's what I was gonna say. I feel like when we wrote the grant, we received the grant right around the holidays. So I don't think we purchased a lot of the items that Dr. Brennan had an idea for what Fear Free would help us with, but I think she talked about even just like little lobby enhancements so that certain animals aren't waiting in the same place as other animals, and different cat carriers that make it easier for them transported around the shelter while they're going to the vet and things like that.
so we're still evolving.
Yeah.
What does that mean for
So
our
we've
everyday
had a lot
life
of
in the shelter?
we've had a lot of cheap fixes.
Yeah.
We realize that it's more than just buying a mask and training staff. We need to start looking at the architecture that we can change. So we applied for a grant for $90,000 to use towards fear-free initiatives in our shelters. We formed a committee of staff so that they have about 60 meetings and see how we can make changes to so things like the lobby, we even elevate cats because cats like to be elevated. Things like that are things that we great. Hope to roll out this year.
And you're looking at the new facilities also up front, so you don't have to have.
Yes, very much.
Thank you.
Okay. One other measure that we talk about is engaging the community and spreading awareness. An important point that I want to show you on the bottom, the 320 outreach events, that not just event, that's tabling events, that's going with the mobile adoption teams. It's just an amazing amount of outreach that has really proved to be a terrific asset for us that we're going to continue to grow so that we can build greater awareness. Last year we did 320 events. It's not just that number of events, it's the results. And what came out of that, this year we gathered 5,500 new contacts. So they're on our email distribution. People sign up, they get information about volunteering, our services, adoptions, etc. And we hope to pull supporters from there. That was a 34% increase from last year in terms of the results that we got at these outreach events. One of the new things recently is that the person who runs the program said, let's take a dog. 4 out of the 7 dogs she took in the past couple of months, I think, got adopted. So we weren't even thinking of the tabling events as an adoption opportunity. We were thinking more awareness, but so there's something to build on. And we have 106 volunteers that actually work in this outreach program, and they're great. And so just wanted to point that out, but with respect to reaching community and building awareness, we really want to get to the younger generation, the next generation that needs to know who we are, needs to know what resources there are for animals. And so I am going to, this is the last part of the presentation, last but not least at all, because this is such a feel-good. Oh, sorry, well, that's a whole other thing. We're going to talk about capital projects, but I mean in shelter. I want to introduce Catherine Reeves. Where's Catherine? Okay, let me just get, so Catherine runs our Community Kids program, and she has just reached her 1-year anniversary with ACC, right? Last week, so this is what you get after you've been here a year, you get to present to the board. But Catherine has over 15 years of experience working in non-classroom educational settings, such as museums, summer camps, libraries, English language schools, and leading historical walking tours of New York City. She's an amazing asset to our team. This is part of the team that we're growing. That's not necessarily everybody has to have animal welfare experience. It's really like, people love animals. What can we do to introduce the community to ACC? So I want to bring up Catherine to talk about her Community Kids program.
So I'm the Community Kids Coordinator, and it's my job to really work with anyone under 18 who's interested in getting involved, learning about ACC, helping the animals in our care. So I put up a lot of pictures because kids are cute. So this is a group that I had last week. In the front you can see that oftentimes when kids come for shelter tours, they bring a ton of donations with them too. So these kids just had like a whole wagon full of blankets, towels, toys, treats, all kinds of stuff. So it's not just, having kids coming into the shelters and learning, or going into the classrooms and teaching them about what we do, about humane education in general. It's also getting the kids involved so that they feel empowered that they are helping the animals that are here too. So I guess we could go to the next slide. So the Community Kids program has existed longer than I have here at ACC. For several years, we've been inviting students to come into the shelters to learn about the shelters, to meet the animals. But really, I guess it was formalized in having a name, Community Kids, in 2018. And that's when we were having the first Books with Thoroughbreds orientations. So Books with Thoroughbreds is one of the options that people under 18 have to actually do some in-shelter volunteer work. So kids under 18, they're not able to physically interact with the animals for a number of reasons. But reading to the animals, learning about animal body language, learning how to tell when a cat is stressed, and how when you are reading to this cat, all of a sudden this cat is starting to feel less stressed, is really helpful for these kids. So I have some pictures of a little girl on the new Staten Island shelter, reading to one of our dogs there. I'll tell you, when we first walked in there, because when they do a Books with Thoroughbreds orientation, they get a tour, we talk about body language, we talk about behavior. But when we first walk in, the dogs are barking because they see little kids walking by their kennels. And you can see right there, after she's been reading to this dog for a few moments, the dog's laying down, comfortable, at peace, calm. It's a big impact on the kids, and it's a big impact on the animals, so it's a real win-win. Like Risa said, I was hired will be in a year next week. I think January 28th is my anniversary. And that's where they are. And last year
I sent my friend's daughter from Stuytown who had the dog
Yeah.
group, and I was impressed at how fast we got them in, and they could afford it, sent pictures. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, they were the canine appreciation
Something
club.
like that.
Yeah, and that group, they came in, they did an orientation. Those are older students because we really target kids 5 years old up to 17. Sometimes I have had people over 18 who have asked if they can come in and read to the animals too. But really, our program targets kids that are 5 years and older. But yeah, we get all ages that come in and do this. In 2019, we've had children from all 5 boroughs be able to come into our shelters, take tours. I have traveled to all 5 boroughs to go into classrooms, into Girl Scout troop meetings, Boy Scout troop meetings, to really meet the kids who aren't able to come to the shelters as well. So we really are reaching, a lot of young people that are really interested. What's really been amazing to me is how little promotion we do on our side. It's a ton of teachers that reach out to us. It is a ton of, I go to one Girl Scout, this afternoon I'm going to a Girl Scout troop in Astoria to talk to them. And this is the third time I've been to that neighborhood because Girl Scout troops are speaking with each other and letting them know, hey, you should reach out to ACC. So it's a lot of word of mouth that people are approaching us.
Do you have these of getting into schools, the different programs, soliciting, just getting information?
Yeah, so I actually brought some of these along with me in case any of you guys are interested. We have Community Kids postcards here, and on the back it has information about how kids can help and get involved. And then we also have specific books with Thoroughbreds bookmarks, which are really cute. So we pass these out at outreach events. I know we passed them out. We recently made a connection with someone from the Department of Education that was telling us. One of our volunteers who was being like, I can get this in too. So I mean, it has the definite potential to grow and grow and grow. I think that in this first year, it's been really amazing and it's exciting to see what's going to happen next.
So I think the police department's going to also give you some more growth because if anyone's watched Police Commissioner Dermot Shea, our new commissioner, everything is about youth engagement and about vulnerable youth and about the youth just going forward. So I think we also, my chief is also the chief of school safety. So we have agents in every school in the city. We have school safety, school coordination agents. So we can do the training for them as well, like Alex is doing for the daily coordination officers. So,
very cool. I know last night I got an email from someone from the police department that we said we were going to follow up with too.
So you're already been contacted.
Yeah.
And you can come on Monday to the.
We'll definitely have those cards on.
Yeah.
I think she's at your school.
I'm probably, most days I am at a shelter in the morning and at a school or Girl Scout troop in the afternoon, so pretty busy, but I'll give you these. Again, Community Kids is all about giving students under 18 an opportunity to help animals. I often hear the feedback, whether it's from parents or from teachers, saying, we've been looking for an opportunity to get our kids involved. We've contacted maybe private shelters, and there's just not an opportunity for people under 18. So they're really grateful for this new opportunity, or this relatively new opportunity, to be able to get kids involved. And again, to make kids feel empowered, that they have the ability to go in and help animals even at a young age. If you go back a second. One of the things that I'm really proud of, because I come from a background of working with students in special education classes, specifically students on the autism spectrum, I wanted to make sure from the beginning that the Community Kids program is accessible for all students. We've had a lot of kids from special education classes that have really enjoyed this because they get to come to the shelter, they get to practice reading to animals, practice being out in the community, practice social skills, and it's just a win-win situation for the students and for the animals. So again, I want to be able to meet all the needs and all the abilities of every student, so that means inviting them to shelters. It also means going into classrooms too, to be able to give that option. So again, as part of the whole program, we have students that are taking tours of the care centers. Myself or someone else can go to the classroom to speak to them. I know we've had several staff members that also will go into career days and talk about their jobs with everyone. So again, these are more kind of a focus in on the Books with Thoroughbreds program, because I think that's what's gotten a lot of attention with what we do. That have a little cat language sheet there, which is something that shows the body language of cats. So I often ask kids to look around the shelter and try to identify how cats are feeling. There's a song about cat ears. I won't sing it to you, but yeah. So we do a lot to teach kids body language, and I think that this is really good for their time in the shelter. But it also teaches them, maybe to prevent getting bit or scratched at home. So be able to see the signs of how animals are behaving when they're stressed out or when they're angry. And then again, I just have a nice mix. Again, you see kids of all ages. Again, kids of all abilities. We try to bring everyone in to get them involved, so it's a fun way to do that. My superstar junior volunteer is a young man named Evan. He's 10 years old, and he's been with us, I think, since the summer. So he's been here for a few months. And he created an Instagram account, Evan B and the Pets, I believe, or EB and the Pets, and it's amazing because when we first kind of started doing the books with thoroughbreds, or at least when I was first taking that on, we focused on the cats, we focused on the rabbits. The dogs, not so much, but Evan was one of those early kids that was like, please let me read to the dogs, please let me read to the dogs. And we were like, okay, you can try it out. And his mom was taking before and after videos. So before videos of him going into the dog room, the dogs are barking, and then he will sit in front of them for a few moments, start reading. He's really calm, he has a really great kind of presence about himself. And then his mom will videotape the 3 dogs that can see him laying down and just listening and looking so calm and so at peace. So that's a picture of Evan. I don't know if we got the video.
Yeah, the video.
Okay, we got the video. He was recently featured on New York One. He had a BuzzFeed article. And
Inside Edition's coming up.
And Inside Edition. So he's getting a lot of attention. And he's inspiring a lot of the other young volunteers too to maybe want to start social media and advocate for our animals too.
This is so exciting because my daughter was really into the cats and rabbits.
Yeah.
But as like a crazy dog person, she was so sad that she couldn't get to dogs. So I'm so thrilled to go back and tell her about that we've evolved the program for the dogs because I know they're so stressed out as well.
I think for the dogs, they really benefit from this program. And I go over with every kid that comes through, again, focusing on reading the animal's body language. If you're standing in front of a dog's kennel and the dog doesn't stop barking, then that's showing us that dog is stressed out and our presence is further agitating them. So we're only allowed to read to the dogs if after a moment we notice that they start to calm down, signaling to us that they're ready for us to read to them, that they want us to read to them.
Thank you for all you're doing here. I'm so excited.
Well, thank you guys for
Ready for his round? Because I'm gonna start now. This is what 9-year-old Evan Bismuth wanted to do with his Friday afternoon.
3, 2, 1, stop. Steve Moody had to take a test.
Any chance he gets, this junior volunteer visits the homeless pets, the animal care centers in East Harlem and other parts of the city.
In order to help them conquer their fears, so when people interact with them and they want to adopt, they're more socialized.
His only tool? A book or two, as he goes cage to cage, reading to the animals.
Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. Do I get to boss you around?
The 4th grader takes his time, selecting a few animals each visit to sit with.
They're usually scared, and it's a new place for them.
Evan's taken his volunteer work a step further, starting his own Instagram account, EB and the Pets, with the help of his mom.
It's also taught him a lot about compassion, giving a voice to, dogs that don't have a voice, that we don't know their stories.
The page includes some of Evan's success stories, but also highlights some of the dogs at ACC at risk of being euthanized. And while Evan considers his volunteer work fun, a few of his visits have been met with a dose of reality. Evan takes the news like a person well beyond his years.
It's sad to see what they go through sometimes, but I just like to know that, I was there for them.
Evan has also given more than just his time. For weeks, he sold sweatshirts to raise money for ACC. He brought a $1,000 donation with him during his last visit.
It's so inspiring to see Evan and just kids who are so intuitive with animals, and you can see that they have this connection.
A connection that may not happen with every volunteer that passes through, but one that is special to both Evan and the animals he reads to.
We got a lot to talk about.
In East Harlem, Angela Gonzalez, Earth One.
I've, as a veterinarian, I've done this with classes over the years. Just one little point, the insurance is okay with all this, and they have, because that's always a big feature with making sure that the ACC is properly insured.
That would be a
Yes.
a question.
They are.
They are, okay.
I mean, I go over with
They're not interacting with the animals.
Yeah, with every group that comes
And
to
they're all-
us, the school group or the individuals that come in to volunteer, it's not just about telling them you can't pet the animals, because if you just tell kids that they can't do something without giving them a good reason, they might anyway. I always try to give them the reasons that, being an open admission shelter, we take in animals of all conditions. We wouldn't want to accidentally spread a germ from one animal to another. And then also really, I try to really focus on empathy and letting kids know that, it is a scary place for animals to come here, and they're experiencing a lot of emotions. I asked them, how would you feel if you were separated from your family and brought somewhere that smelled horrible and you didn't know anybody and you had a medical exam, and then someone put their fingers in your face? And the kids always be like, I would bite them. Not because you're aggressive, but because you're scared. So we really do try to push that empathy and get kids to understand why they're not allowed to do that. And then they also will, when they're coming in under 15, they have an adult with them the entire time. Their parents are required to sign waivers. Yep, for everyone under 15.
So they, okay.
Do you do anything to interest them in careers related to animals in the future, or do anything to retain them for the future, to maybe be volunteers, or maybe even work for the shelter?
I'd let them know about that there's all different types of jobs within a shelter. So one of my favorite parts about my job is talking about all the people at ACC, because it really does take so many different roles to make a shelter run. We do participate in career days, where again we'll have, I know that Sebastian has come to our career days before to speak about his work. So we try to give kids that information. Right now, kind of what I focus on is getting them to come into the shelter and help, getting them to make toys for us, do fundraisers for us, things like that. But in the future, I think it would be cool to be able to, involve the kids even more in learning about the types of careers and things that we have. Because they definitely, I have 6-year-olds that when I grow up, I want to be a vet. And how do you keep that passion going? How do you show them that you can be a vet in a shelter too?
Great, thank you.
Actively working on the Queens Animal Care Center, which has been Jen's full-time job in addition to all her other full-time jobs. So I want to bring up Jen Peavy, our general counsel, to talk about that.
Jen, before you talk, we are mindful of the time. We started a bit late, and we will hear from Jen, we'll hear from Christine, and then we'll have public comments. So we're going to go over our time, and then the board is going to need to move to an executive session, and we'll clear the room. So that when we do finish our session, if all of you could be really helpful and just head off for the rest of your day, it'll help us get back on our schedule and make up the time we're giving now.
Patrick, when are we targeting attendance?
I would think we're probably going to run till 11:20 would be my guess.
I would be super fast.
So we have 20 minutes.
Yeah.
All right, so super exciting project for ACC. We are building a new full-service care center in Ridgewood, Queens, the corner of Flushing and Woodward. It's very close to 2 subways and several buses. And there's a rendering from our architect. It's a 50,000 square foot facility. It will be able to house 72 dogs, 110 cats, plus group housing. And there's space for rabbits and guinea pigs. 80 to 100 additional staff will be hired. And there are some renderings. It's projected to open in summer of 2022, so not that far down the road. We've already started. The site demo was completed earlier this month. We are on track to start construction in the next 2 weeks. And our neighbors already love us, even though we haven't moved in yet, because we are cleaning up a dirty site. We enroll as a volunteer to the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation Brownfields Cleanup Program. And remediation is ongoing throughout the project. And here are some very exciting photos. It was hard to pick. It's like photos of your cats and your kids, like every single one of them was great. So this is the demo of the concrete. So removing the concrete, removing more concrete and then some soil, more soil. This is a more recent photo. The site is nearly clear, and here it is. And we are ready to start driving piles in the next 2 weeks.
Great.
Anything on the horizon that you've seen feel a little panicked about that could delay the timeframe, or do you still feel comfortable with this project?
Yeah, I mean, look, when you're digging for foundation, you can find anything, you know, but.
For breach, you can find really.
Yeah, but, no red flags yet. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you.
So we're gonna transition from the ACC presentation to Christine. Hi. From the mayor's office to talk about capital projects.
Hi everyone, good morning. My name is Christine. I'm the animal welfare liaison from the mayor's office, and I'm just very briefly going to talk about the projected timeline for the rest of the capital projects for the animal care center shelters. So as an overview, the administration has dedicated $116.4 million for animal shelter development and renovations. All of the projects are underway in every borough, and the Queens project is managed by Animal Care Centers. The rest of the projects are managed by the city. So again, here are the timelines for the Bronx, Brooklyn, and Manhattan. The Bronx Care Center has completed their design, or will complete their design by summer 2021. We anticipate beginning construction by the spring of 2022, and we anticipate moving in summer of 2024. The Brooklyn Care Center will complete design by spring of this year.
And I asked, given that we're almost in spring of this year, how does that look?
It looks good.
Yeah, great.
It looks like we're on target. But again, these are projected. So we also anticipate beginning construction within winter of 2021, and then projected move-in date is fall 2023. For the Manhattan Adoption Center, the design was completed December 2019. We will begin construction of fall of this year, and we anticipate moving in fall of 2022.
Is that design available for people?
Are we gonna see that at some
Yeah.
point?
Yes, I can send it over to the board.
That'd be great.
Yes.
Yes. Do you approve all that, Lisa? Or in the design work?
So, yeah, I
So do you
attend,
guys have it?
yeah, we do, I don't know, but we attend every design meeting. I attend on behalf of ACC, and I take any questions that I can answer back, get feedback from the team.
Got it. We would love to see it.
I will send that over to Patrick.
Thank you.
Thanks.
For Staten Island Animal Care Centers, congratulations to ACC. It is open, and it moved in just at the end of December. So the main adoption entrance and the parking lot are still to be constructed, and that is projected to be completed in the fall of this year. So we will have an official living pretty soon once that is complete.
But it's functioning, yes. It's unfortunately the front of it is not.
The entrance is temporary,
Yeah.
the cattery will be built,
Yeah. Congratulations. Thank you
Really
so much.
exciting to hear about the progress and
Yeah.
all the great new facilities that are on the horizon. Thank you, Christine, very much. Okay, so we're moving to the public comment section. I have 5 people who've signed up, and just again to remind you all of the ground rules, we ask you to keep your comments limited or questions to 2 minutes. Sometimes people have very, very specific questions. It's great that we have your contact information here. If we aren't capable of answering your question within the team assembled here today, I'm sure we'll be in touch with you to help you further clarify your queries. Our first speaker is Joan.
It's me. I can't contain myself.
Hi, Joan. Good
I'm going
hear
to come
you.
out of here the second time on the natural high. I am proud to say I was one of the first people that worked at the shelter when it was Center for Animal Care Control in 95, 96. Should be coming with your 25th anniversary. But I'm most encouraged about the stats. This is what I feel that's most important. I know we can't sell bunnies. We got to do something about guinea pigs because I look at those numbers. But when I worked at the shelter, I was always saying, where are these people coming from? They move into New York City, they get rid of their animal. We have 6 shelters in Manhattan. I listed them all. No Queen shelter yet. But what I'm encouraged is the stats. I want to see, please, the next time we have a meeting, how many animals coming in that are spayed and neutered? That's important, because if they're actual stray animals, most likely they're not going to be spayed and neutered, and they're not coming from here. Because all the shelters and groups in New York City spay and neuter their animals. So we really have to look at that stat, because to me, working there and this whole thing is the stats. That's the most important thing. If those numbers don't go down, something is wrong, and we have to pinpoint it. We're a very big city with a lot of animals, so please, put that on your thing. I want to see how many dogs and cats came in that is spayed and neutered. I know you ask people why they're giving up the animal, because we really gotta knock down those numbers. And I'm concerned about the guinea pigs. I know we can't sell rabbits, but I'm like, when I start, these people, please give them more money than I was getting, because they are so young and knowledgeable. I'm telling you, it was not hard when I worked there. I dealt with double and triple, killing animals left and right and everything. I went through so much, and I'm just so encouraged and happy to see that. I've seen how you've grown. Nobody else has seen it, but I have. Myrna knows me. I'm the only one here from way back when, but God, it's like, I'm telling you, you got, that's, I'm still waiting for a German Shepherd though. I'm waiting for you guys to bring a German Shepherd in that shelter I want. But I just, you guys are dear to my heart, because, and you said, of course I'll go to, you got Manhattan or Brooklyn, I'll go anywhere in New York City, anywhere the animal care shelter takes me, but I'm telling you, coming from me, you guys are doing really great. You have no idea the difference that I've seen. Just hearing these young people, I love it. Thank you so much for what you guys have done. Thank you.
Thank you. You have a perspective no one else has, so we really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Joan Kowalski.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi, I just wanted to speak a little bit about at-risk animals and my concern for them. I really think that it would be nice if we could locate them in the system instead of only on the at-risk list. Like if you go through adoptable animals that's from the at-risk, you punching in on them, they do not come up. Couldn't they come up with a notation that they're New Hope only or whatever in the adoptable animals, as well as some of the DOH animals that sometimes are never even seen at all. And the first we see them is on social media coming up that they're already youth listed, and by that time it's impossible to share them. So that's a couple of concerns that I have. Another thing is that sometimes the dogs that are at risk, at the last minute, there'll be somebody open to fostering or adopting them, and sometimes it's already too late, and the youth is not called for. So as long as there's somebody that wants one of those animals, I really think that we should be given the time to process the application and give that animal a chance. The other thing I wanted to speak to is that I have actually been fostering an at-risk dog. I took him to the Brooklyn Center, and I love him very much. But when I went there, I was told to make sure that they show me how to take him for a walk because he was leash reactive and a leash fighter. I was also told to, make sure that there's a collar on. And when I got there, I asked if they would do that. They said they would. And when they brought him out, they had one of those slip knot leashes on him, and they had me bring a crate for him, and I had really never met him before. So they put him in the crate, and they took the slip knot leash off. I had no collar, no leash, and no walk. This is a leash reactive dog. So I felt like I was almost being set up for not being successful. And I question if this happens to other people, because I see so many returns from adoptions, and are those returns counted in the adoption numbers is my other question. It's wonderful that all those dogs are adopted, but then I see so many dogs coming back. So those are a couple of my questions. And he's deaf, which that was never told to me. I had only discovered that once I got him home. And he has all the markings of a deaf dog. So if you get an animal in that looks like that could be deaf, maybe some kind of test should be done to see Are you fostering through a mutual partner? Yes. Okay. We can talk about that because there's a lot of things they should have provided
Well,
you with.
no. They told me, they were the ones that told me to ask to take for a walk. They're the ones that, told me to check for all these things. And
So we can
I
talk
was
about it.
told-
It's their responsibility
I was
to do
told-
that for their fosters. So they should have provided you with more.
No,
We
no,
can
they
talk more
did,
about
they did. It was what they told me was what I was successful after I left there.
We'll definitely follow up with you. Thank you for your fostering and for these feedback points. Yes. Neil Schaller?
Shayer.
Shayer, sorry.
Hi, no problem. I'm a volunteer at ACC and I've been fostering dogs for a number of years. I think I'm on my 8th. My current one I've had for about a year now. Has behavioral issues. Trazodone actually does work very well. There's a number of points about statistics that were made. And I appreciate the board's questions about the statistics as well as, quite frankly, all the efforts that the staff has been making to encourage young people to get involved. But I do want to note that at the past few meetings I've been at, I've noted a few times that the surrender by appointment program is very much used to control the intake and the stats. There are people who are discouraged from surrendering their pet, and there are people who have dogs that are not well behaved and are encouraged to have their dogs euthanized. I don't say that just out of speculation, but I'd be curious to know what the ACC management feels about the article which says that owners who surrender dogs are encouraged to have them euthanized because they're not included in the statistics that you see. As far as the statistics on rabbits, I'm not sure why they would be sold, but I am very disturbed by the fact that rabbits are placed with the LaGuardia Vet Tech program and used as vet tech animals. But as far as surrender preventions, whether they're effective, typically dogs with behavioral issues are not well. They don't do well when they're not surrendered because you can't rehome a dog that has a behavior issue. And again, that goes to whether they're encouraged to euthanize them. But as a practical matter, it's great to provide resources. But a good dog can be rehomed easy. It's a bad dog that doesn't. As far as stress-free, I would argue that as wonderful as all those things were, to fear-free and stress-free, if a dog doesn't get walked enough and a dog doesn't have water for hour after hour, that is in and of itself horrendously stressful and will cause, in my opinion, very much damage. And I just note that while the young people are great to encourage, volunteers that have been fired over the past year, some of the most experienced with years and years and years of volunteer experience have been fired for what they feel, or what I've heard, I shouldn't say what they feel, what I heard, are reasons that to me would say if the shelter was truly putting the animals' welfare in front of everything else, that they could put up with passionate volunteers who are begging that the animals get walked, begging that the animals get water, and that reading to a pet is wonderful. It's cute and it's sweet and everything. But on a hot day, water is what the dog needs, not stories. And the last thing is the stray cat pathway that ACC, in order to place animals that are not feral, so it's not TNR, but when you use SNR, right, not feral cats, and place them so that they will be put back out onto the street. When you walk home today and you're in the cold, do you think about the animals that are being placed back on the street? They're not feral. In my opinion, it's illegal to put non-feral cats back on the street, but that's different. But you think about them being considered placed, because they're placed with a New Hope who puts them back out on the street. And I would say that it's just, it kills me to watch commercials about dogs, ASPCA, that commercial, donate, don't let animals freeze to death. And yet the city's shelter is putting cats back on the street. And through New Hope program, however you want to call it, it's on the website. I mean, ACC doesn't deny it. I give them credit for it. But I don't think animals freezing to death in a sudden downturn of temperature is really, what the contract with ACC and the city, and quite frankly, the laws of the city provide. I appreciate you listening. and I'm sure I'm over my 2 minutes. So, but if anyone wants the article, there was a dog that died of heat stroke in the summer that we didn't hear about today, and the article about the euthanasia of dogs being encouraged on intake.
Neil,
If
thank
anyone's
you.
interested.
As you mentioned and made reference to the passion of volunteers, we really appreciate
Thank you.
the work you do, and thank you for your comments and raising our attention on some of these matters.
Can you address the suggestion that behaviors and policies are changed to achieve certain stats? Because I just think we should find, the base of it. That's not true.
Feel free to.
Yeah, I mean, I'll speak then on behalf of the board. The suggestion that we would turn away surrenders so we can achieve specific statistical measures, that's not the policy of the organization, that's not how the organization is governed, and that's not how it operates.
You're saying it's not the policy, but it's happening. Is that what you're saying?
I witnessed it. I was a volunteer. You sit in the lobby. You can sit in the lobby and you can see it for yourself, or you can sit in Brooklyn in the parking lot. And I have a number of people who've called me. I was a volunteer, and the dog volunteers in Brooklyn have said they've watched people walk out with their dog of the shelter, tie them to the pole in the parking lot, and go on their way. And
I'm not denying what you've seen or heard. I'm telling you that the behavior that you've seen or heard about is not done to achieve specific statistical measures.
Okay, I appreciate that. This shouldn't be done at all. It's an open admission shelter. There shouldn't be a barrier. You have an animal, you want to surrender it, you should be able to surrender it.
Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, reasons you want to speak to.
Part of surrender prevention is a conversation and seeing what resources that we can offer. We will examine every aspect of what you're saying to see clearly we don't want any animal to be in their welfare to suffer, and it's certainly not to drive any statistic, but to have no conversation and to define open admissions as just bring them in, that's irresponsible. It's irresponsible from an animal welfare perspective, from the human-animal bond
I agree.
and from our contract. So,
But people
we will
crying
take-
when they're
we will take
leaving
what you
because they
say.
can't surrender their animal is also irresponsible.
We never say that they can't surrender. We ask them to make
With
an
all due
appointment.
respect,
We never say
with
that.
all due respect, I've spoken to people who've tried to surrender rabbits and were turned away. People, they're empowered to take care, and they leave crying because the cell is so hard that they can't bear to do it by the time the conversation is over. And I don't say this lightly, and I don't say this because I don't like it.
It should be hard.
Why are they dumping rabbits at the shelter to begin with?
People who have
They're
animals.
treated as dumping
I
grounds.
have guarantee you more animals than you do, and I've volunteered probably more than you do.
I have 3.
Okay. I have 32. Okay, and it should be hard. Every time you go in, somebody goes in and wants to make giving up an animal somebody else's problem. Okay, because it's going to cause them tears, and they want to be told it's okay. Bring your animal in. You know what? Maybe it'll get adopted. Maybe it'll spend the rest of its life in its cage. Maybe we'll kill it because we have to. But you'll be okay. You go out. You go have your cappuccino. You have your Starbucks. It should be hard. And those conversations have to take place. And just saying, I got to tell you, when you hear people who are working as hard as these people, I volunteer on the board, okay? When you hear people working as hard as they work to come up with creative solutions to try and ameliorate the problem that this city has in a way that is humane and compassionate, to rattle off all of the errors or problems that people have told you about, because I've had those same conversations.
Oh, it happens to me too.
And when I have spoken to those people one-on-one, I hear it as somebody telling somebody
No, sir.
who saw it on Facebook.
Sir, I can tell you, and ACC wouldn't deny it, the policy, people come
We're
in
gonna
with a
move
stray
on.
cat, they're
We're
told
gonna
to
move
put it
on.
back out on the street. It's
We're gonna
on your
move
flyer.
Valerie Polinsky.
Years ago, wasn't that
Valerie,
Oh,
are you
hi.
here? Hi,
I'm
Valerie.
here.
dumping
I'm a volunteer and proud to be one. And I will say progress I have seen, I've given money and goods to this organization for 12 years. And
I am mind-boggled how far it has come. And I truly wish people would not hold the new place and go with the future of this organization. My question is about community and education. I'm wondering, and Alex and I have talked about this a little bit, I hear a lot of college students talking about wanting to forward their careers. That speaks to the question about careers in this, how college students could maybe appeal to ACC to either internship or do special volunteerism that would speak to their education directly. So,
Can I actually answer that?
yes.
So we do work, we develop a relationship with Memorial Community College, so now we accept interns from the veterinary technician program. And it's actually been very fruitful because we've actually hired 3 interns, and those are the 3 that actually interned our program. Dr. Brennan has also created a relationship with Cornell University, where we are taking the 3rd and 4th year veterinary students, where we will be coming to us 4 weeks at a time. And then last year, we launched a program which has recently taken off, where we are targeting people or students who are on the career pathway towards veterinary medicine. So we allow them to shadow us in different areas of our medical department and accumulate hours that are going to point them in the direction of staying in veterinary medicine, specifically shelter medicine.
And then on the side of other than vet opportunities, we are going to look more closely at the internship program. There's going to be a little shift in the way our volunteer program works, and that's going to lead to sort of us looking at more ways we can incorporate volunteers, including internships.
So they can get credit possibly or something along those lines?
Yes, absolutely.
We also attend a lot of career fairs and encourage all students to apply for our openings.
And you're right, it's an excellent resource for volunteers who then may become an employee. Like we have an HR, we had a college intern and a program assistant.
Also in communications.
Oh, that's right.
Alec Russ, my superstar, started as an intern, now full-time
Shout out to
On
Alec.
the horizon, there'll be a lot more career opportunities, I think, for the existing staff and a whole new group of people as well. Thank you, Valerie, for your support. Our last speaker comment from the public, I'm sorry, I can't read first initial F.
Oh, I'm sorry, I might have, I signed it accidentally, I didn't realize that we were
Oh.
sold out of time. But I will say, I have an opportunity. I didn't do it deliberately. What I will say though is honestly, it's a great joy to be out with the public every weekend. As Risa mentioned, we have 106 outreach volunteers and myself that go out every weekend
Can you
to.
introduce yourself? I didn't hear. Faith runs our community outreach program, the one where I said we have 320 outreach events. That's all Faith.
Excellent, glad you accidentally signed up.
I accidentally signed up and I didn't
Acknowledge
do
your
it, but-
service, thank you.
But I did just want to say, the feedback that we get, it's one of the greatest stories of the work that I do here, is incredibly positive across the board. We have so many people that come up to our events every weekend and thank us for what we're doing and recognize the great work and the strides we're making. Our biggest challenge is just getting the word out to those who don't know who we are. But over the years, I've been here with 20 years as a volunteer, now I've been here as a staff member for 5 years, I've seen a drastic change in the last 3-4 years talking to the public. People just more positive feedback they're getting every weekend. So I just wanted to share that with everybody.
Excellent, thank you.
That's a great thing.
And it's a really good note to end on because I feel like, you know, what we are seeing and what we've heard today is all the different areas and frontiers where we're working and making progress in the communities with new generations. Obviously, all the amazing good service and hard work that's going on in the shelters. Risa, congratulations to you and your staff for the incredible work. It's been great to see and hear from so many. Congratulations, Jessica, Jennifer, and Sebastian, on your recent promotions and the leadership you're providing us. Catherine, congratulations on the program as well. It's really great that so many of the team is here, but please extend the board's appreciation and thanks to the entire staff because it is truly inspiring. Thank you, board, for your service and for being here today. We do have more work to do. We have some things to deal with in an executive session. So I'd like to move a motion to move to executive session.
Years ago when I started, I understood what they
A
said. They didn't
second.
like it when they made it.
Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. Don't forget our pin bowl, and thank you all for your.
All right, all right.
Thank you so much. How'd you know?
People want to talk to Cass. Send him a comment with his name and show us, and I will follow you anywhere and do anything for you. If people have sent me texts, mine, whatever I like. I'll take a copy of that article.
Oh, I just.
Yeah, they did. But I have to play
I'll see you later. Bye. Bye.
Hi, good to meet you. Yeah, or see you again. Yes. I think we've been the last, yes. Yeah, great to see you. Are you staying for the executive session? Okay. Otherwise, I think
Just the redesign of the logo.
Yeah, that's why, like tech talk, yeah, yeah, I agree.